She's an award-winning YouTuber and best-selling author obsessed with helping you go after the life you want.
I like it.
Join her as she seeks out the stories and strategies.
Give me every little detail.
Of extraordinary people who found success.
I'm going to get emotional. Oh my God.
Welcome to Detail Therapy with Amy Landino.
They weren't like, Sarah's going to steal the boys. Sarah doesn't know what to do. So, like, I was easily not a threatening friend. But then I think it spiraled for me because I was the sidekick for so long that by the time I got confidence in a personality and didn't necessarily want to be the sidekick, I'd been so cemented into the role of being everybody's friend. And now as I've gotten older and as I've gotten to 30 and realized like I'm trying to be more curated in the friendships I let in and the people that actually add value to my life, the world isn't always as quick to like let you switch that.
Hey there, welcome to Detail Therapy. You just heard a snippet from Amy's chat with her best friend, Sara McCain. In this episode, you'll hear Sara and Amy discuss a variety of things, including managing friendships with a scarcity mindset, as well as having an intentional life and intentional friendships, as well as how to give advice that isn't always black and white. While the voice reaching your ears right now may not be that of Mrs. Landino, it is mine. I'm Meg Kearns, co-host of the Life, Marriage, and Baby Carriage Parenting Podcast, business owner, calendar blocking fanatic, and productivity addict. Amy will be out for a little bit while she focuses on family, but not to worry. She's still bringing you the details she promised. As we know, she always delivers. Question for you. How often do you have a conversation with a friend that you wish you could have shared with more people? A dig-in, get-deep discussion that really analyzes the inner workings of business, relationships, mental health, or trending world topics? Well, in this episode, Amy and her best friend Sara do just that. As we all know, work, family, and life can easily fill up our days, and sometimes we forget to reconnect with the people who are hanging out in our corner, cheering us on from afar. The plan is for Sara and Amy to have regular chats on Detail Therapy. These will include candid and open discussions about a variety of topics that we all think about. A shout out to today's iTunes reviewer for their review of Detail Therapy. They said, Amy has been my go-to YouTuber for motivation, and her podcast is just more goodness to my ears. It's like the cream in my coffee. I have a very high-stress job, and this podcast, in addition to the YouTube channel, leave me feeling refreshed, energized, and ready to take on whatever comes my way. Totally right. Those, like me, who can't always watch, can now listen. And then get started. Remember, everything they talk about here on the show can be found on the show notes website, detailspodcast.com. So if you hear Amy and Sara talk about a podcast they like or a video they watched, we will link to everything in the interviews as much as possible. Remember, it's all about the details, so go get them. With that, let's get into Amy's chat with her next guest. Today, Amy is sitting down in her apartment with her BFF. When she's not working, Sara spends most of her downtime snuggling her dog Prue and spending time with her brand new husband. Oh, newlyweds. Or catching up with the people who make her world just a little bit brighter. This episode gives you a behind-the-curtain peek at growing up, building friendships, and how one event can be remembered a multitude of ways. So sit back, grab a glass of your favorite sparkling something, and let's dig into it with Amy and Sara.
This is super appropriate because there's Real Housewives in the background. We've had approximately a bottle of wine together.
Yeah, it was
which
a shared
is
effort.
Reasonable. It's good.
It was team effort.
So I would like to introduce my dear friend. When I say dear friend, usually when I say it, I'm like, that's how I like to introduce people. But you're actually my dear friend. Like,
spoiler alert.
My best friend.
Thank God.
Sara Mitchell.
Hello.
No, my God, how awful am I? Oh
no, I don't think I've gotten to say it yet. I am Sara McCain.
Oh my gosh, how terrible.
Best friend fail. You don't even know my real name.
You are Sara McCain.
I am.
But
Sara
to be
McCain.
fair, have you actually changed your driver's license?
No.
Okay, then you're not. You're Sara Mitchell.
But I think I'm starting to get in the practice of introducing myself as Sara McCain.
You know what happened?
My iPhone says I'm Sara McCain.
Yeah, but Instagram is like, you're not WordSmith anymore, so we're going to allow the hackers to keep your account.
I'm Alessandro. I don't know who I am.
Okay, so I just want to tell a quick story.
I can't.
I was just in Sarah's wedding. We'll get to that. Sarah went on a honeymoon. We'll get to that. I was like, did she say she's going to be gone for 9 days? I'm like counting like on the calendar. 9 days. I think 9 days was today or yesterday, or it was 2 days ago. It was 2 days ago. I'm going to look up Instagram. I haven't seen any updates on Instagram lately from Rome or Tuscany or where else?
Venice.
I
Florence.
haven't seen any stories from Venice.
No stories from Wordsmith,
So I
honestly.
pull up the Instagram account, and at Wordsmith has been taken over by one Alessandro, who has a fine booty in your avatar photo.
She has a lot to offer as a male's name.
I just feel that it should have been Alessandra if anyone wanted that to be realistic.
Honestly. And for a day, she stole my last name. She was Alessandro McCain.
She was.
And
interesting.
then the next day, it's Alessandro something, but it's nowhere near Wordsmith. It went from Sarah Mitchell, to Sarah McCain, as I did the day after the wedding.
Of course.
To, I was unplugged, to Alessandro, to Alessandro McCain. The first day, she just took Alessandro.
That's so weird.
And then she took my last name. And now she's taking all of my identity.
Okay, but not really. So, like, there's something very... Okay, so if you haven't gotten the picture yet, Wordsmith on Instagram has been hacked. Sarah has now learned how valuable two-step login is.
Oh, yeah. My dog's account is safe.
Yeah, so Pessimistic Prue is safe.
Yeah, we're
but
good.
unfortunately, Wordsmith, we're not sure how it's going to work out. But I log into this account, and I'm like, oh, my gosh, she has been kidnapped. And they took over her Instagram account at the same
my identity.
time. But what's interesting, that's obviously not what happened. You were fine.
But this also happened in parallel with I had called my mother from Barcelona because we got laid over there. And I had called her to let her know. And she goes, oh, wait. I need you to know Amy's looking for you.
Oh, my God. Okay.
And so I was like, okay, a lot of information is coming through. I realize I have been hacked. I realize I am stuck in Barcelona. And I realize my mom wasn't concerned.
Okay.
But my best friend has texted my mother to make sure I am alive.
Listen, this is how you know I'm a good friend.
Yeah.
Okay. So I see her account's hacked, and I'm sure something is wrong. So I text Sarah, and I'm like, you haven't texted me since Tuesday, and you said that you would still text me on your honeymoon. So I'm
story.
concerned now.
Yep.
And when those texts were going through, they were going through green, like Android green. Like, I'm not okay with this. This is not iMessage. She's not charging her phone. That's unacceptable. Or you're out of service, whatever.
Or I've been kidnapped.
Or you've been kidnapped.
That's
exactly.
a
Your phone's
fair-
off. You turn the phone off when you kidnap
would not be my
someone.
best friend if you did not jump to a murder outcome.
Exactly.
Like, that would just have to be
We
reality.
will probably get to that at some
Yes.
point, if not today, at some point.
100%.
But so I just felt like, who else was there to ask? Your husband? No.
You did not text
Because
my
if you're
husband.
kidnapped, your husband's not going to text me back either.
And he's likely to blame.
Exactly. So
Always the husband.
So I text your mother, who also is kind of a variable on whether she'll reply. But
Yeah.
I text her. I was like, the
Have
Instagram
you heard
account.
from Sarah?
I assume she's fine, but the Instagram account is making me uneasy. And she's like, oh, I think she gets back tonight. The Barcelona thing, you had a delayed flight. You were stuck there for a night or something.
Right.
It had
We
nothing to do
we
with
got
your
stuck
plans.
in it had nothing to do with my plans, nor being hacked, nor being kidnapped. But it caused
None of these things
a
have anything
lot
in
of
common.
confusion for everybody involved. But listen, my mom, I realized, didn't understand I had been hacked because I kind of spelled it out for her. I was like, I have talked to Amy. She now knows I'm alive, but I am not Alessandro. And my mom, I don't think, understands going to someone's Instagram page and seeing what was hacked.
Dude, that's a real thing.
You know, like I don't.
The whole going to someone's bio thing, there is a generation of people
Doesn't do it.
that they don't do it. My mom specifically has asked me many times, what does link in bio mean?
Oh, God.
And no, I love my mom. She's tech savvy,
No,
but
but,
she's
I
still
mean,
like,
it's an
I
extra
don't
step.
understand what's going on. And even if she got to the bio, it can be confusing because people are trying to get so high tech with their links now. And it's I think there is a
genuinely
generation
think more
that don't do
people
it.
didn't realize I was hacked because they didn't do that step. The people who did were people
Right.
who were either trolling and like
Exactly.
coworkers today were like, "Hey, we've been trying to follow you on Instagram. We want to see wedding pictures, whatever." And they were the ones that realized. But okay, let's go positive here for a sec.
Yes.
It's a new chapter.
What are we considering now?
Problem is, Smitch has always been my nickname.
I know.
And McCain
It's not. It just doesn't do it for you.
doesn't roll off the tongue. But I do like the idea of incorporating McCain, especially because, and as Kevin, lovely husband Kevin pointed out to me today, he goes, I have gotten recognized more in the city of Columbus for being your husband than I ever did before, because he's a quiet guy. And so
But
he'll
he
be at
also,
events.
just so everyone knows, he works for
The city.
The city, and he works for somebody that's very well known in the city.
No one knew Kevin before you married me.
Okay, well, to be continued. We'll update you on the next one, what you end up with on the name front.
But for the record, are you saying, not only as Amy, public figure, but as Amy best friend, that you think I should open a new Instagram account?
All day.
Okay.
Absolutely.
You wouldn't wait it out to see.
No, here's the thing. If you get it back, cool.
All right.
Because then you can just like decide what you're going to do.
Or I get it back and I like archive it, finally save it.
Exactly.
Go,
you can save everything. You can copy paste everything you need. Yes. Or if for some reason, here's the problem. I don't know what happens when it gets reinstated in regards to your followers. I would
Especially
think
now that
they'll
I've
be
told
there.
a lot of people that I've been
Yeah.
hacked.
So if you end up in a situation where you're starting a new account and everybody's already getting used to that idea in your friendships, then they're already following the new account. But if I were in your situation and that wasn't happening yet and you were just starting the account to start it, if the old one came back, you could just say like, oh shoot, I chose a new name. I love the new name, but I got my old account back.
Yeah.
So maybe I'll just change the name on my old account, which you could totally do because you would have ownership of the new name. You would just have to quickly change
it over
between the accounts. But at this point, I don't know if that's going to happen. And if it does, it could still be months. And so you kind of have to decide, like, you're starting your married life right now. You guys, let's just break this down. You sold and signed on a brand new house days and the day of your rehearsal dinner, like
the day before the wedding,
and then you got married.
Yep.
In the meantime, you'd packed up your whole house, you put it into a pod, you moved in with your parents so that you could just be out of the one house, so you could move into the new one when you got back from your honeymoon.
Yeah,
you got back from your honeymoon, you start to unpack, and now you're back to work this week. So it's like you have so much going on, and like I feel like our generation just loves to express ourselves when we're super proud of ourselves in a moment like that. And you don't have that platform right now. So my heart breaks for you. I think you should have an Instagram because it's the perfect place to be able to do that.
And I want to share wedding pictures. Like you said, like I want to share a new home. I want to share a wedding. And like I keep seeing these pictures from the wedding day, like when you guys were my pit crew. Literally, this bustle,
we were
like
they
were the pit crew.
The
and
bustle needed a pit crew.
I wanted to say thank you. You know, like I want to do thank you posts. You want to do shout out posts. Like it's like also a way to like for people who are part of your day to say like, hey, I only saw you for 5 minutes at the wedding, but you mattered and you being there mattered.
Right.
And if you don't have a platform to do that, a text is nice, yes, but let's be honest, our generation likes public recognition.
Mm-hmm.
So I could text you till I'm blue in the face, and I know you would receive it well and appreciate it, but I have certain friends who would want that public call out. That's just life. Like I'm guilty of it too.
Okay, so maybe... Oh, I like where this is going. You might have to stop me. Maybe this is the universe saying, we don't want Sara to have this responsibility on her back. She needs to get checked out. She needs to go on her honeymoon. She needs to just be married. She needs to have all the wine in Italy.
Yep.
Instead of thanking every single person who was a part of the wedding in some way. And we talked about this before we got on, you know, something that you have just worked through in a lot of like your life, and especially the last year of being engaged, is just, I hate to put it this way because this is the worst word. It's probably an oxymoron. Managing friendships. Managing is the worst word to put in that situation. But
it's a reality. And
it is a reality
that I think needs to be talked about, honestly.
It does.
Friendships are not easy.
Let me say this too, because I think what's interesting is you have such an opposite perspective of this for me, compared to me, because it's not that I don't want a million friends. You've just had a life path that has had you just build so many friendships along the way, which has been both a plus and a minus because there's only so much time in the world. And for me, like, I'm like, oh man, I hear about some of the things that I'm like, this is a lot of stuff to deal with because I have been much more not selective. It's not that I haven't been like wanting to be friends with everybody. It's just sort of like it didn't work out that way for me. I've always been super independent, separate. I didn't have a traditional college experience. So a lot of things in my life has kept me from having quite as many friends as you, to the point where it's like, I call you my best friend, you call me your best friend. And I'm like, She says that, but she doesn't really. She's got like 8 million
right,
friends.
then I say it like 8 times to you, and I'm like,
and I'm just
she's
like,
not
she's so
hearing
nice.
me. She's my soul sister.
She's so nice. She keeps calling me her best friend, and I'm like,
and then my husband starts calling you my best friend. And I'm like, I don't know when she's gonna believe me.
Yeah, I don't. I'm still working on it because that's been my path.
Right.
I think a lot of the characteristics that I embody and things that people are always like, you're such an anomaly, is that I grew up with such a scarcity mindset, and it has many different pockets of the world bring that to life.
Yep.
It could be money. It could be like I didn't wear Abercrombie in school, or it could be that friendships were so small and so not meaningful and so not real to me that any fleeting moment of conversation I had with anyone I thought wasn't going to last very long, because usually they didn't. And I always coveted any time I had with anyone who might consider me or treat me like a friend, even if it was like, let's talk to each other at our lockers for a few minutes.
Right.
Because I thought, oh, I don't get this very often. And I just have started psychoanalyzing myself a lot. And I'm like, this is a scarcity mindset. And that has a lot to do with why your situation with friendships is such a different, I don't want to say problem, but a different challenge than I've had with friendships, because people think I actually am sometimes disrespectful, resting face, whatever it is.
RBF happens to good people.
Exactly.
Yeah.
Anything that you can think of. I think I talk fast because I assume people don't want to spend that much time with me.
Oh, that's interesting.
I've really been thinking about this because
we both talk quickly, but I feel like
for different reasons.
Yep.
Very different reasons.
Well, I would also argue, because I know we have talked about our childhoods and we've talked about friendships in high schools and middle school. And I actually think we had a very parallel existence.
Really?
But we might have had the same core need, but addressed it differently. Like, I think we were both very observant, introverted children. And
Definitely.
I mean, let's face it. Like,
I'm less observant now, but that's because I have 4 glasses of wine.
we can read people though. Like, that's something you and I are both very good at, and I think we enacted it differently. I think you read people and would probably pull away and be like, I'm going to sit back and wait for them to come to me and like whatever. And then
because of rejection that had happened in the past.
100%.
It wasn't an
You're
assumption.
like, I'm not going to put myself out there. It's not going to be a thing. Listen, I was a kid with a speech impediment and an eye patch. I had seen rejection
Seriously.
through the one eye. But I also realized I had a sense of humor. And I realized that, being quippy at a young age helps me make friends. I never was the leading lady. I was always a great sidekick. And I realized that at like the age of 6. So I always put myself in that situation. But I was very introverted and very observant like you. But I think I found validation by having a lot of friends and realizing no one ever saw me as a threat. The young popular girls in elementary school liked me, but come on, I was an eye patch with a rainbow, and I said my R's wrong. I couldn't even say my own name. They weren't like, Sarah's going to steal the boys. Sarah doesn't know what to do. So, like, I was easily not a threatening friend. But then I think it spiraled for me because I was the sidekick for so long that by the time I got confidence in a personality and didn't necessarily want to be the sidekick, I'd been so cemented into the role of being everybody's friend. And now, as I've gotten older and as I've gotten to 30 and realized like I'm trying to be more curated in the friendships I let in and the people that actually add value to my life, the world isn't always as quick to like let you switch that.
Yeah.
The world's like, no, you're everybody's sidekick. Everybody wants to confide in you. I will literally be on a plane for 5 minutes and hear someone's life story. And it's not as easy to suddenly say like, no, this is who I am, and have people accept it. So it's weird.
This is interesting though, because I actually think that that's not going to be the case for as long as you might think it would be. So there's the reason I say that is I think that you've come a long way. I think part of deciding like relationships, like your love relationships, things like that, you go through them.
That's a whole other podcast.
Yeah, that's a different topic. But no, like you find someone, they're the right person, you decide you're going to marry them, and then suddenly things get really put into perspective because you're deciding that this person is going to be your number. I prefer to say that they're your number two because you are number one.
Yep.
Vincenzo and I see differently on that because he believes that your partner is your number one. So it's great. I'm my number one and I'm his number one apparently.
You know, and I told Kevin, you're my number one. So you're like,
I'm like, what in the world is going on?
how many people's number one?
But I'm like, you guys, put your mask on first, okay? Don't try to put it on me.
And put it on
because I'm
correctly.
going to be
I've
putting
seen
it on
airplane
myself.
videos where people don't even know how to put that on accurately.
I know. No one pays attention.
Very symbolic.
But I just think that there's been a lot of growth for you just from what I've observed because you're seeing like
True.
this is my number one. This is my number two guy. Like this is the guy I'm going to wake up to next to every day. He's the opinion that matters. And because of that, the friendships that I used to really stress out about before, it's all been put in perspective now, and I can only go so far with this. So I actually think you're not super far off from a similar situation to me where you might start to see more respect on the fact that you're not a sidekick anymore. You're a wife, you're a partner, you're an ambitious career woman, you're pessimistic Prue's mom, which I think is going to be your next claim to fame.
There will be a coffee table book coming to you.
Yeah. Your only hope on Instagram currently.
Seriously.
But I do think that there's been a lot of growth in that. And so just because it's all perspective. It's all perspective.
It really is. But I also think, to compliment you, which I'll only do 3 times in this podcast.
Which is why I'm going to have BFF chats on a regular basis.
Compliment is I think at a young age, you realize that validation has to come from within. I think
that's personality type, though. We can talk about Gretchen Rubin and the 4 tendencies. Like that taught me a lot about my personality.
Well, yeah, your personality in a nutshell, and I love Vin to death, but was made for me.
So if we could just work something out here
to be my friend, because I think you have this natural ability to recognize in yourself what are your strengths, what are your weaknesses, what are the rooms you should be in, what are the rooms you should not be in, and what are you going to give time and anxiety to.
Yeah.
And I think that's where like this bigger friendship conversation probably would speak to a lot of your listeners.
Yeah.
Because everybody deals with it in a different, like we are all jealous
Absolutely.
people. We are all controlling people. We are all possessive people.
Well, here's the difference between me and you, though.
Oh, good.
So if we're gonna analyze friendships I've had in the past,
about it
right,
too.
right. So it's perspective, but another piece of it is like, you just end up. Everyone takes rejection, however they take rejection. I had enough of it in my childhood that it's sort of like, okay, when I did have friendships and I did feel like I was putting it all in, and you end up being friends with people who tend to have victim mentality, which I talked a little bit about this with the podcast with Matthew Santoro, but also maybe are only children and they get a special kind of attention a lot of the time. And they set such a high expectation of what you're supposed to do as their friend.
Oh, yeah.
Here's the thing that happens with me. I was taught from an early age that if you have a problem, just walk away from it and it'll go away. Now, I don't actually do that in my life, but there have been people in my life that have done that. So unfortunately, the innate thing in my body is like, oh, you don't like how I am a friend to you? Let me get out of your way.
Well,
and
you
I will just
talked about
drop
this.
them. And I envy you because you
don't
care
let you
enough.
drop
You
me.
don't. No, that's fair. But the
Stage 5
But
clicker.
even if somebody's really broken your heart and
Yeah.
truly doesn't have a leg to stand on how they've treated you, and also but regardless, you just give them the time of day and you'll keep talking through it and I'm like, oh, you don't like me? Later. Like I just
don't
cut
think
it
you've
off.
realized that you've done, and I don't know, I'm going to give myself credit for bringing this out in you, but you have always said to me, you're like, when I text you and like, even if we've gone a couple weeks without seeing each other, you're like, thanks for always like keeping us in communication. Yeah. Like, I know I'm really busy and we're both really busy and it happens. And you're like, thanks for, always looping me in. You thought I was kidnapped.
I did.
You texted my mother.
That's how you know I care.
I was like, oh my God, Amy like legit cares. Like, I thought maid of honor was a status. And now it's like, ugh.
All right.
So like, I think you've grown in certain ways.
I've grown, but I mean, I know where I stand with you. So
You're like, Sarah's
so
not
there's
leaving.
that. But it's like, that is true. I mean,
I would say, though, when we first became friends, I would not have seen that happening. In the same way,
that's
when we
cool.
first became friends, I don't think you would have seen me standing up for myself as much as I do. Like, I think it's both ways. Like, I would not have seen you getting as attached to me as I know you are, and vice versa.
Yeah, no, totally. We are going to swap roles of stage 5 clinger, apparently. But, like, no, I think that's what's... I want to go back to that because Vin and I struggle with this a little bit too. Vin, if you don't know, is my husband. Like he loves to text. He loves to have conversations on text, and I try to entertain that as much as possible. But it's not like in my thought process. I think all notifications are somebody bugging me. I think all emails are just requests for my attention that don't necessarily deserve it all the time. And so when you think like that, and when you've restructured everything in your brain, I don't text, hey. Like, that's not a thing I do. So
it would make me nervous if you did.
I know. And the funny thing is you do it and it's totally normal.
No, but I think if I got a hey text from you, I would brace myself for what the next text is.
Yes, there would be a second text. Absolutely.
Like, I'd be like, oh, God, she's got bad news.
I text with intention.
Yep.
It's another scarcity thing, right? Like, do I deserve to have your attention? I'm going to prove immediately.
Or are you alive?
That too. Yeah. It's like I have to prove immediately that I deserve your attention because I just have a very specific ask, or I'll be there in 5 minutes, or whatever the thing is.
Which is so ironic to me, though, in a way, because as you and I have also talked about, I go into many rooms with you. I've seen you in many situations. I've seen you in work situations. I've been assumed to be your assistant.
This is very true.
So I've
Thank
seen
you
you
to the Scottish people for that.
hats. The Scots definitely think I'm your assistant, and I'm okay with it. But I've seen you walk into rooms and you captivate the rooms, and people want your time. People are thirsty for it. They want it.
Oh, they're thirsty, huh?
Oh, that got bad. Good. I don't know what the kids are saying these days. I'm not on social media. I've now officially been deleted. But yes, they're thirsty for it. But like, you still talk quickly sometimes. I notice it in you because you still have the scarcity mindset.
It doesn't matter.
It doesn't matter. But I'm like, these people have probably, I've seen them wait in line to get your autograph. I've seen them ask questions. I've seen them
the autograph too, by the way. We're taking it back 15 years.
Listen.
Yes, I get it.
I'm going to learn how to forge your autograph.
No, it's true. It's true. But in those situations where the context of the situation is I'm a speaker or...
Right, but you still don't trust it. I've seen it in your eyes.
Yeah.
Like, you still don't trust that they want your time and attention
in your eyes.
I can't sing with you. I've got like this nasally thing too.
I was just singing that song earlier. That's really funny.
Listen, the image you should put up with this podcast is the image that I think sums up our entire friendship, which is our caricature.
This is very... Oh my
Which I
God.
have it. I have our caricature.
You need to take a very good photo of that. And
I mean,
send me
because I think essentially it sums up everything. You
I
see
do
all
need a
my
photo
teeth.
of us. It's not going to be this moment in time because I'm no
And
makeup
then yours
day.
is sunglass. Like, I think we both
I
have
was
sunglasses
ready
in
for
the
that caricature.
But yours is like sunglass, closed lip smile, and mine's like, hi guys, I'll be your friend.
Okay, just remember this narration for the photo that you're looking at in the notes. That's
and it'll
great.
just be everything. But that is it in a nutshell. That sums us up.
So I think that there's this weird connection between the way it is a scarcity abundance conversation. The way that you have handled your friendships is with abundance, which is amazing.
But it's not sustainable.
It's not sustainable, but it's
my
amazing.
PSA to all your listeners. It's not sustainable.
It's not. So without getting like super specific, because I'm not trying to go there, like I do think that you've learned a lot about like what it means to prioritize. Again, another terrible word when it comes to friendship, but it's also like that's become a real thing because you have to put yourself first. And when you start realizing that, and that is another thing I think that you struggle with a little bit is like you deserve to put yourself first. A lot more than you do. And in that situation that you put yourself first and then you put Kevin and then we've got Prudence has to go on walks on a daily basis and then you've got
Kevin
the rest of the world. Yeah, thank goodness for the husbands, right?
Seriously.
So once you do that, then there's only so much time and energy left for everything else. And even if you, hey, how are you, texted every single person you've become, like, how is that possible? So I think I envy you for how well you have treated people, that you have approximately 80,000 people that think you are their best friend.
Which I pulled an Amy. I pulled an Amy because, like, you know, I do it's weird for me sometimes to watch your videos because like I'm like I could just be getting this advice over wine. So it's like
True story. True.
sometimes I want your advice, but I can't. You travel a lot, so I had watched one of your prioritization videos, and
I'm even scaling my friendship with you. When I travel, you can just watch me on YouTube like everybody else.
You're accessible. Sometimes
Good
when I think
Lord.
you've been kidnapped, I just go to YouTube, and I'm like, it's fine. She's good. She's there. But I was thinking about it when I was on a work flight 2 days ago, which was a whole other thing. But I was on the plane, and I was like, I'm getting back into work mode after being on a honeymoon, and I know there are a lot of people I haven't been talking to because I've been unplugged. I've been trying to give my husband all my attention, and I've been hacked. So, like, what are my priorities?
With Instagram more
like,
than anybody
listen,
else.
Instagram and Amy are my 2 priorities right now outside of Kevin. Amy just still doesn't trust it's actually me, and neither does Instagram.
I'm just like, is this Alessandro?
That's why I'm here tonight, to prove that I'm not Alessandro. But I literally had my planner out, and I took like the next 3 weeks, and I wrote down 4 names each week of friends I need to check in with.
Oh my
So,
God.
Because this was my theory in my brain, again, very jet lagged. My theory was I want to text everybody right now. Now that I'm plugged back in, I want to text a bunch of people who are generous enough to come to my wedding, generous to give it a gift and their
fair.
time and all of that. But that's 1, not sustainable because that will open up 8,200 conversations. And 2, I'm jet lagged and I'm not going to have good conversations. But I was like, I do genuinely care about 12 people. Let's say 12 people over the next 3 weeks. And I want to know how they're doing. But I'm only going to allot certain amounts of time. So I regulated myself.
I think that's great.
You know, beyond my like bridesmaids who I talk to regularly and who we text back and forth.
You don't need a notification.
I don't need to say reminder, talk to Amy. But there were
I do
other
think
people.
you have a reminder every Monday morning, approximately 9 a.m. You're like, "Hey, how's it going? What's your week look like?"
Slow.
But you're also like on it every Monday, and I'm like, "Oh, all right, great. Glad we're having our check-in. Thank you."
Yeah, that. Or I'm like 3 things we're grateful for. Go.
Oh my God,
I
we have the
done that
most
to you.
deep text
Yeah, we really do. But like that was my way of being like, I'm not going to go full Sarah, but I'm also not going to go full Amy. Where's the Sammy?
Oh God,
Where's that in the middle ground? So yeah, friendships are a whole thing you could tackle on this.
that's a whole thing.
You gotta find your balance.
I do think I actually really commend you for that because you're just managing your time. And when you do start a text message with somebody, it's like, or if you respond to one and it's like quick, timely.
Yep.
Me and my accountant just did this the other day. He's so smart. He starts texting me if I text
more than me.
No.
What is this?
No. He wishes we spoke more often,
Yeah,
but when you're an accountant, people only want to talk to you so much. So we were texting, and he's very smart. He will respond. And I'll respond, and he'll respond, and he'll pick up the phone. Because if you are super timely responding to texts, and you're saying some pretty in-depth stuff, you can't possibly be multitasking at this point. He'll pick up the phone and attempt to talk, and I love that because like these conversations on text, which is why I generally don't start them unless I'm like, I feel really bad. I haven't connected with this person in a long time, and that doesn't happen very often. But they can go for a while.
Oh, I know you're invested in our text conversations when you tell me you're getting the laptop out.
Yeah,
You're like, oh,
I gotta get.
I'm gonna type paragraphs about this Real Housewives episode we're watching together.
Right. Oh yeah. No, you need the laptop in that situation.
Yeah.
But like, I have hammer thumbs now, so like,
God.
I literally every time the iPhone increases in size, my thumbs just get larger with the keyboard.
That's
So
fair.
it's not getting easier to
Two-way
type.
street.
I miss my BlackBerry. It's just how it
You
is.
totally just dated yourself.
I miss the BlackBerry. I've considered multiple times
You and
while
my mother.
watching the
Are you my mother?
Kardashians, do I need my BlackBerry back?
No.
I
The
think
answer
I
is no.
do.
Do you want your stylist pen out with it too? No.
Maybe. I don't know. I'm
No, but I
thinking
mean,
about
I
it.
think there's a way, like in anything in life, and I think as much as we don't like the words prioritize and manage with personal things.
Sure, totally. It's not sexy.
If, in this day and age, with a million things pinging you at all times, it's not sexy, but it's the only way to actually have an intentional life.
Right.
Otherwise, life is happening to you, and you got to meet somewhere in the middle. But to your earlier point, you cannot have 80,000 friends.
You
I'm
can't have
here to tell you.
80,000. Unfortunately, you can't have 80,000 best
doesn't
friends.
work.
You can't have 80,000 maid of honors.
I've gotten this long without doing
It's
that.
too much. It's too much. And so I think
Well, and I think it's
even
also
though you
think-
may have entertained that only 6 months or so ago, I think you have seen even those friendships that you felt you did right by and they sometimes still come back to bite you. There's nothing you can do about that because it's just that person's mindset and what they choose to see and what they decided about you. And every single day you're making a step forward in your own life. So you can choose to be pulled back by what somebody knew you for, or you can just
they made
keep
it up
going.
in there. Well, and it goes back to, and you've taught me this, it's the power I was giving them.
Right.
I will get in disagreements or friendship failings, and I will assume what person X has to say matters more than what I have to say because I just always give as sidekick. Everybody else is the leading lady. So whatever the leading lady is saying is going to defeat what I say. And so even if someone does wrong by me, I'm like, well, their feelings matter more. And that's something that probably got instilled in me as a child. So I would be in these friend disagreements that I'm like, well, I feel incredibly hurt and incredibly vulnerable, but their pain matters more than my pain. And it's taken a lot for me to realize, wait, no, hold the phone. It's not true.
Right.
But that was the hardest lesson for me to learn of all. And it's still not something I totally have gotten to.
It's not like, oh, we figured it out. Like,
Right.
It's still like, oh, yeah, okay. But in the moment, it's so hard to remember that because you don't want to be the person that broke somebody else, like, or even cracked their egg. Like, you don't want to leave a mark. That's the worst feeling of all.
Oh, I have such PTSD from getting like angry text messages from friends.
Oh God, I don't want that life.
I mean, it's not. Is it their truth? Yes. Do I have my
Yes.
truth? Yes. Do I think texting someone aggressively is ever the answer?
No.
It's
No.
not. And I think we live in a time, because of social media, full circle, that people assume you can do that. But it has caught, like, I genuinely might have, like, a small disagreement with a friend now, and then I see her name on my phone, and I panic. Because I have had friends send me heinous things over text messages out of nowhere. And I can now, far enough removed from situations, be like, that was so undeserved. I did not do anything to deserve that. They lashed out at me because of the reality they had created in their brain. But in the moment, that is very scarring.
Yeah.
And it is cyberbullying, and it is total crap.
Yeah.
But I think it's normal.
Right.
People have a
It's the
thought,
norm.
and they're
Yeah.
like, I'm going to send it to you right now.
Yeah.
You need to know my pain. You need to feel my pain. And now I genuinely have moments where I'm like, if it's not like a safe person's name on my phone, I'm like, uh-oh, what are they going to say? And is that now going to be the truth? Which is not true.
Right.
So maybe that's why I'm off Instagram.
I feel like, again, I think the Russian gods decided that they wanted to help you manage this. I feel like I should let you go home to your husband now. It's a little bit late. But before we go, did you happen to listen to the podcast with Leah Pipes?
I mean, listen, not only did I listen, but, which that sentence did not go off well, but when you had connected with Leah Pipes.
Let's talk about from the beginning.
Let's start at the very beginning.
So Amy texts with intention, Sarah, oh my God, you'll never guess what. And this girl, Leah Pipes, she's like a successful actress. She watches my YouTube channel and she tweeted about it. That's how it all started.
That's where it began. And I knew the name, and I knew I'd seen her in things because, let's be honest, I like the CW. Mm-hmm. But I also like made-for-TV movies about crime.
You do. You are a murder freak.
I really am.
Which is why I was like, you willed murder onto yourself when I thought you were missing in Tuscany.
You can create your own. It's like The Secret, the power of The Secret. And so, like, I knew who this person was. So not only was it exciting for you and your growth, but it was exciting for me. You know, that's mostly where I was coming from.
Sarah's like, great. I have a best friend vicariously through my best friend.
And Lee and I have bonded so much. So much. So the week of my wedding, when most brides are thinking of the last minute details, I'm on Leah's IMDb, making sure I have my facts straight to text you questions to ask her.
Oh my God, they were so impressive. I was like, oh, I didn't think these were actually going to be questions I wanted to ask, and I asked almost all of them.
And when you asked, not even all of them, when you asked the first one, I was like, first of all, Amy read my text. Second of all, this is happening. And I'm getting the answers I want. Like, you know, I think what I liked the most about Leah, which is what I'm assessing her to be as a person, because I think you have a very good way of bringing out people's true identities. Case in point, me. Is that she just is so freaking genuine.
She's so genuine.
The way she talks about depression and anxiety.
I couldn't even.
At that point in the podcast, I was definitely on the treadmill at the gym, and I was like luckily the only person there. And I was like, preach. Because like the way she was describing it, I was like, that's so spot on as somebody who's dealt with mental health stuff. And also the fact that she was doing it with no fanfare or no apology or no other explanation. I liked that more than every other answer you got to my other questions.
Yeah.
Really enjoyed that she met Jennifer Love Hewitt and was a fan of her as well.
Also, yes.
But I just thought she had a really good platform to talk about those things. And there are things that are just reality.
Yeah.
And she described them in a no judgment zone.
Right. It was so unexpected. And I did say this in episode 1, sort of as like a precursor. Like, I wasn't expecting the therapy in detail therapy to come out so soon, but it was so amazing because she was very open and honest, and it was very much in tandem with her feelings about why she started quote unquote binge watching my channel, was because she hadn't seen anything not anything, but like this was different to her in terms of what YouTube was known for and what was being taught to girls on the internet about how they should think about themselves or what they could do to better themselves. I think that excited her and that motivated her. And it doesn't matter if like you've gotten any better at waking up early because you watched my wake up early video. It's just that you're starting to reframe your mindset in a way that makes you excited about what you're doing. So the fact that she felt that comfortable with me to sit down and talk and
open her home to you
and
with Prosecco.
She had Prosecco shipped. Like they deliver it to the door. I watched it, and she made us food. I mean, we're talking about 11 o'clock in the morning, and we were. It was just like it was so amazing.
She put her walls down and welcomed you in.
She really did,
and I thought that was one amazing. But I also think it speaks to your channel in the sense that and. I would probably have some of your fans not appreciating me because I've not watched every video. But the videos I watch of you, you aren't black and white in your thinking. Because you watch some, whether it's a YouTube channel or a podcast or a self-help book, a lot of the time it's fixing somebody. It's like, this is the broken part of you. Do this instead of this. Your even wake up early videos are like, this might not work for you.
Yeah.
This is what works for me.
Yeah.
And this is how I do it.
Because it's my truth.
Right.
And I'm like, look, this is what I've figured out. Like, I get so excited when I'm like, oh my gosh, I figured something out. I have to tell my friends. And that's one group of my friends. And you're another one of my friends. And like, I tell everyone I know about this thing. And it just so happens to be in a video a lot of the time. And
if it works,
that has a lot to do with, that's really important to me because I don't think that I do think it's important to stand for something, but I also believe that everyone is different and you have to offer every option so that people can figure out what's right for them.
Well, and I think I learned that about you pretty quickly when there was like sometime you and I were out with breakfast with another friend, and you are not the friend that you present an idea to without then assuming that you're going to push us to do it. So
Yeah.
there are a lot of times when I'm like, I'm not going to share that with Amy because she's going to light a fire under me. And then I just like, do I actually want to do it?
Right.
But I learned really quickly that you would then inspire someone and say like, okay, if you're going to say you're going to do it, then do it. Like, what do we need to do to put steps in place so you get it done?
Yeah.
And
that is the black and white thinking of me though.
Right. But then I realized as I've watched you in particular do that with like different friends, and as I bite my tongue and don't tell you ideas I've had because I'm like, I'm not ready to be Amy'd. I'm not sure if I can handle that. I realize that you give advice in a very particular way. That's you assess somebody. You're like, okay, so if your end goal is to write a book, this is what you need to do to get there for you. You're like, this is how I wrote my book, but it's not going to work for you necessarily.
Yeah.
And I think that's probably what spoke to her about your channel.
Probably.
And that's what, like, when I've come to you for advice, you don't give me black and white advice that you know works for everybody. You're like, Sara, I know you.
Yeah.
I know. There was something right before the wedding. There was something that you're like, I know this is what you should do, but you won't do it. There was something that had come up.
I don't
and
remember.
You basically were like, listen, I think the answer is this, but that's not you. That's not who you are. You're not going to do it. And I think that's a very freeing thing.
Yeah. I think that's just like, yeah, I guess I'll give myself credit for that. Let's give me a gold star.
Ooh, can we add that to the segment? Gold star moment?
We're going to have a gold star. I'm pretty sure Gretchen Rubin does that on her podcast. So we're not ripping that off.
Magenta?
I really need gold though. So, but I think
Rose gold.
The thing is like, that is kind of important to note because if I'm being honest, Like
Please.
that's a big moment for me. Like
Yeah.
that's like not because I lie to people, not because I'm in the habit of like fluffing up what I really want to
don't
say.
sugarcoat.
But it depends. It just depends on who it is, because like I also don't like confrontation, and I also will recognize when someone's telling me something just to tell me and they don't actually want to be held accountable, and I just want to empower them.
That's
And
fair.
then there's also a situation of like, you just need to be told the nasty truth, and I know I need to light a fire under you in a different way. And then there's, I know you, I'm going to tell you the truth, I'm going to tell you what I would do in your situation, but I'm going to tell you that I don't think it's the right fit for you, because if I know you well enough, I know this. So I get the gold star in that situation, just because honesty can be really difficult in those situations,
But I
even when
think
you
it's
know you're coming from a good
easier-
place.
Not even easier. That's not the right word. I think it's more authentic to you because you, with every relationship, because you are very intentional about the people you let in, and you are very transparent about who you are from the start, whether someone knows you or has just met you through YouTube. I think there's something that's compelling about the fact that what you see is what you get.
Yeah.
People don't meet you and assume, oh my God, well, some people do, but that they're going to be your best friend in the whole world. And They meet you and they know that you're going to be authentic and real with them.
Yeah.
Because
Well,
you never present anything else.
Yes, that's true. That's really important to me, though, because I think I've just been around the block for so long that I've known people who you expect the world from, and then you meet them in person and they're not the same person as they are online. And I think that that's been sort of like the evolution of social media and people realizing they have to come out from behind their avatars. But it's always meant something to me that if I'm speaking to a camera, that camera is a person, and I want them to feel like they are being spoken to directly. So if there's some crazy happenstance where they come see me speak, see me on the street, whatever the case, and I'm standing in front of them in real life, if I'm not the same person, like, it makes everything else suck. It makes everything else suck. So the good news is, as an introvert who needs alone time, who needs to be able to recoup from human interaction, I think of the camera so much as a human that I have to be in my most extroverted self to speak to the camera in the same way I'm my most extroverted self to speak to a human in person. And so because of that, I am the same representation in person as I am on camera.
Which is more rare than you think it is.
It is.
And
it's very rare.
especially,
That takes a
from
lot of
the Leah
work.
Pipes example.
Yeah.
She's probably used to that not being the case. I mean, I've worked with celebrities in my past life. I've seen situations where that does not always go the way you think it's going to go.
No.
And that one moment can really change. Like, if you have a bad interaction with somebody,
Can you give any dirt?
probably not.
Okay.
We'll save that for another podcast.
Okay. Think
But
about
for the
it.
most part, I will say Melissa Etheridge is actually my favorite person ever.
Okay,
You know,
we knew
like,
that
there's
was
no
coming, though.
dirt there, but she's a wonderful human being.
Good news. She turned out to
good
be a
news.
good human.
I adore Melissa Etheridge. But I just think, celebrity or not, there's so many people that don't come out from behind their avatars. So there are so many people that, in the situation I've been in, where their Instagram or something gets hacked, their whole world falls apart. You know, like, that's who I am. I've curated this person. That's who I want everybody to see. I want them to see all the best parts of my life. And it's caused an identity crisis. And now I think the positive is I'm not having an identity crisis. I'm like, okay, this is an identity opportunity. And I would like to role model McCain, whatever it becomes. McCain something.
Yeah.
After how I've seen you role model your avatars. Because, I'm not trying to be Amy TV. I don't want to do anything besides get my words out there.
But you
and
have
get
to still, you
Pessimistic
still have to
Crew
know
a
who
coffee
you're
table
talking.
book.
Yes, of course.
But those are, I want to be real, whatever that means. So maybe it is making it real.
Well, I think even if it's not, what makes it real is who are you talking to and how well do you know them? And I think that's what you just said about me too. That's what it comes down to. The reason anyone's ever said to me, I feel like you made that for me, even though 100,000 other people watched it, is because I know who I'm talking to so much. And even the people who don't necessarily fit the mold that I've decided, it's not like it's this thing that's out in the world, like, here's the very specific person I talk to. But even the people who, like, I would say, like, most moms enjoy my channel if they have found it, but they aren't necessarily the right fit because we end up in this weird like back and forth about time management and children, and I can't offer that perspective.
I was gonna say, have I missed some videos you've done on kids?
Nope. And it's totally fair for them to bring to the table. And my assistant Meg is one of those people. Meg has been an avid viewer of my channel for a long time, and she has, oh my God, I was going to say 4, but no, Meg, she'll kill me. She has 3 children.
She might feel like it's 4 sometimes.
Yeah, I know.
What I know about motherhood is like she might think they're a 13, you know?
She has 3, and her lovely husband is
3
not a child.
40 based on their energy.
She has 3 kids. So I know that she finds value in a lot of things I talk about because she wouldn't have been a viewer in the first place.
Right.
But I also recognize the fact that it's not cut and dry when it's like just wake up an hour earlier and get more out of your day. When your kids tend to dictate your schedule, they can hear when you wake up. And so it's just interesting, but it doesn't mean that your message will not still positively impact those people just because maybe who I'm talking to isn't really a mom most of the time.
You also sometimes don't always know what you need to hear. So that's why when you find people like your channel, if it speaks to somebody and they're like 95% of the time, Amy's message is spot on for what I need. I'm going to listen. I'm going to be, that's like me in podcasts right now. Like I love Anna Faris's Unqualified.
Yeah.
There are sometimes she has guests that I'm like, I don't care who that Joe Schmo is. I don't really know who he is.
Right.
But I know I like Anna. I know I usually like her advice. And I also know I like Oprah. I don't know I like Dax Shepard. But I have them all in my curated queue. And sometimes I just literally randomly pick one because I don't know what I need to hear that day.
Right.
And I think if you have the right people in your ear as your influencers.
And you trust the source.
Yep.
Yeah.
So like, yeah, I'm not a celebrity. I will never be a celebrity, nor do I want to be one. But there's things that Dax and Anna say as Hollywood actors that resonate with me.
Yeah.
And it might be how they ask their guests. It might be this or it might be that. But I know I trust them enough to be like, hey, I'm going to give my 45-minute commute up to them. And I'm going to hope I take away something good.
And if Dax says something that you're like, I'm not into it.
Right.
Then you pass on it.
And then I
but
literally will skip to another episode. And maybe I need to get more like this with friendships. I don't feel bad for Dax if I skip over his episode.
Dax is fine.
Right.
Dax
Dax
is
will
doing
cover.
great.
He's
Dax
married to my favorite person in the world.
Is doing awesome.
So like he will be fine. But at the end of the day, I need to get what I need in my ear.
Right.
And I think that's why whether someone's a mom, whether they're an entrepreneur, whether they're not, like there's things that can resonate through your channel. I mean, there are times I've watched your videos at work. It's a little weird to be texting you and watching them. But, you know.
Fortunately, you're not like live texting me my own video.
Oh, I've done that before. You just don't know.
I'm just usually
I don't tell you what video I have on, but sometimes I just go back in the archives.
Familiar.
I start typing in your words. It's going to be a thing.
Oh, my God. Okay. So, just so everyone knows.
I'm Sara McCain.
You're Sara McCain, not Sarah Mitchell. You do
That's
not have...
my new handle, Sara McCain.
You do not have an Instagram account. Your dog does.
Oh, I do.
So,
Pessimistic Pro.
Since
it's public.
Since you cannot follow
and
Sara.
authenticated. And has a double
yes,
security.
And we now have double security on Pessimistic.
Don't try to hack me,
don't
Russians.
Hack
doggone it.
I just want to say before we go, like, I really hope we can do this more often because the reality is that even, there could have been something today that was interesting or something that was not interesting to somebody, but you and I, maybe, I really, probably not.
Likely.
But
hi, Vin.
You and I, hey, Mom. You and I genuinely like talk like this.
Oh, yeah.
Every time we get together.
We could have been recording this during the wine sesh.
Right. So, but that we are having a wine sesh. I don't know. You gave up on the wine.
I switched to water.
My thing is, when you said, hey, we have to catch up when I get back from the honeymoon, I was like, cool. I was like, oh my gosh, we should podcast because that's a normal thing to say to your best friend. Mm-hmm. And because of that, I really think like we end up talking so much about a lot of the things that were important to me with starting this podcast. I just thought it was appropriate to like have you on every once in a while if that's cool.
If they like me. If they name my next handle.
Yes, if they name your next handle, follow and or just at least tell me on Twitter or Instagram.
Or if they go back in the archives and find that video of us at Applebee's.
Oh my God. Don't bring up the Applebee's video. Okay. That's a story for another time. Okay.
I'm just trying to put plugs in so you do bring me back.
There's so
Because
many
now there'll be
teasers
enough
here.
teasers of like Melissa Etheridge, Applebee's,
It's a good Applebee's story,
Prosecco.
actually. Yeah, Melissa Etheridge.
cartoons,
Yeah.
Scotland.
Scotland
Are
was
we
a
in a
good story.
castle? Like there's just so many.
You're giving away every inside joke we have.
Yeah,
Okay.
You're welcome. You're welcome, everybody.
All right, so here's the actual call to action.
Okay.
Sarah doesn't have an Instagram, but I do. So
I feel so like that feels weird. Like I'm like I don't.
you're naked.
I do not
essentially.
exist.
I want you to go to the podcast Instagram at not you, them.
Okay. I was following instructions so well. I was like, yes. Take notes.
At Details Podcast.
Okay.
And I will post a photo of me and Sarah. Ideally, it will be this cartoon from Scotland.
I got it.
And if you are at all interested in hearing about how Scotland went and or anything else, and if you, in other words, would like to have Sarah back
Or
on the
even
show,
McCain pun.
just let me
whatever.
know in the comments of that post on Instagram.
What about making life punny? Or making it punny?
It's too long, man. There's no
making
way.
a pun.
No one's going to
Making it
remember
fun.
it.
Like making a pun, making it fun. Listen, I'm just spitballing here. I'm really hoping they
Making
help.
puns.
Making puns.
McCain puns. McCain
But
puns.
then do they have? But then I have 2 pun accounts because Pessimistic Brew, as you will see when you follow it, is all puns. That's just not sustainable to have 2.
How is it not sustainable? It's your entire life.
There's so many puns.
How many puns were at your wedding?
Oh, jeez.
We didn't even talk about your
I
wedding.
didn't put any in my vows, but Kevin put 1 in his.
Oh, so good.
I think there were a few puns, but I resisted because I was trying to keep it classy.
Respect.
You're welcome. I also had many other things on my mind. No puns. Oh, wait. I made a few. Shoot.
You did. I'm like, there's no
Making
way.
it official.
There's
I
no
had a
way.
few rhymes. But anyway, continue. Yeah.
Okay, we're not continuing. That's the entire
What are we
point.
calling this segment?
This is called
Is
Are
it
we
over?
in a castle? Is it
now?
over yet? Are we in
And
the?
are they still
We
talking?
can't call it. Are we in the castle now? If they've not heard
This
the
is
joke.
called a castle of friendship, baby.
Okay, Sarah McCain. I
Shut
couldn't
it
even
down.
say it. No. I'm trying to say goodbye to you. I was going to say Sarah Mitchell, but it's not. It's Sarah McCain.
Maybe I will for always be Sarah Mitchell.
Maybe.
No.
Thank you so much for being on the show today.
I'm going to take off this headset now.
Yeah.
Okay.
All
Over and out.
I can see so much of myself and my friends in this conversation. Let's do a really quick detail recap. Managing friendships may not sound like a good thing to do, but in reality, it's the perfect way to maintain contact with the important people in your life without sacrificing your sanity. I want to know, what kind of texter are you? Do you text with intention or just to say hello? What does that say about the way that you view and value your time and the time of those with whom you speak? Personally, I'm a say hello and then get to the point kind of person. I don't have a lot of time, so quick text messages are my favorite way to converse. Advice doesn't always have to be cut and dried. It can be given and taken with a grain or 2 of salt, depending on the person and the circumstances. Realizing that someone else's circumstances may not align with your experience is a key element in giving thoughtful and actionable advice. Don't forget, the show notes are going to have everything that Amy and Sara chatted about today. If they mentioned it, we'll link to it. Check them out at detailspodcast.com. There was some really great stuff in that podcast, and I'm eager to listen to Sara and Amy again soon. Do you love getting advice straight to your earbuds? Would you like some simple steps for living your best life every day? Then Amy wants to send you a free audio training with the 7 essential details for going after the life that you want. To receive this audiogram, subscribe to this podcast and take a screenshot to show that you're subscribed. Email your screenshot to hello@detailspodcast.com with audiogram please in the subject line, and we'll send it right over to you. Thank you for tuning in. Amy appreciates it, as always. If you want to discover even more actionable details, head over to Amy TV by typing the URL in your browser, youtube.com/AmyTV, or search for Amy Landino in your YouTube app. As Amy says, subscribe for good vibes, and remember to go after the life that you want. Cheers!